Hey everyone, I'm Holden and today I'll be talking about Call of Duty Black Ops 3 for the PlayStation 4. Call of Duty was a series that I bought every year to scratch an itch. Sometimes it's nice to have a game where I don't have to think and can just get through in a couple of hours, where the story is largely inconsequential, just an excuse to shoot bad guys in the face. Over time, however, the series has been getting more and more bland. Each game tries to emulate the last to such a degree that they all feel the same. Does Black Ops 3 do anything to fix this problem? Short answer, no. Not at all. Not even slightly. It doesn't even try to be its own thing. Almost all the new mechanics in the game have been seen somewhere else, with few exceptions. Overall, it feels not only like every other game in the Call of Duty franchise, but just about every other first-person shooter too. In fact, I'd advise you to watch my recent review of Halo 5 first, because they're basically the same game. At the time of writing this, I've been totally unable to get any experience with the online multiplayer aspects of the game. There have been problems with the service since release, and at this point they still haven't been fixed. While this doesn't bother me too much personally, as I'm only really interested in the single player experience, I can't help but find the situation ridiculous. Call of Duty has always had a huge multiplayer following, so it seems weird to me that they have failed on their main selling point. As such, I can only talk about the single player campaign of the game. The gunplay feels the same as always, tight and responsive, but generally nothing special. There are however some much more interesting things that come from the cybercut system. After the first mission, the player gains access to a range of abilities which lend an advantage on the battlefield, from the ability to hack turrets and drones to things like setting robots on fire and a ground pound. My favourite though is the swarm ability. This releases a large number of Firefly-esque robots which distract enemies and given enough time, burn them. Honestly, I think it's hugely overpowered in the early game, but during some of the later missions it was the only way I could progress at all. There are a few new enemies in Black Ops 3, the most common of which are the robots. It seems these enemies were supposed to be scary, as throughout the first mission you're constantly told to run away from them. The problem is though, that the game always puts you in situations where you have the upper hand. The only time in the mission where you actually fight them, you're in an APC using a turret, tearing through them in huge numbers. When the game finally succeeds in making them seem scary, it's during a cutscene where one of them rips off your limbs. It all just reeks of wasted potential. Like Halo 5, this game has a heavy multiplayer focus and suffers for it. The AI isn't as robust as I would have liked, but at least there is a split-screen co-op option, which alleviates the problem somewhat. The justification of having multiplayer is still just a large number of enemies, although there are at least some large enemies which require cooperating as a team. These could have been a refreshing change from the usual grind, except you fight these multiple times throughout the game as well, and sometimes even multiple times in the same mission. The game is also riddled with bugs. I've had a few, such as points where the sound dropped completely, certain items in the world having no collision, and enemies freezing in mid-air after explosions. I also had a mission which took place underwater, except I was the only character swimming, with all the other characters and enemies walking around as normal. The hugely inconsistent pacing of the Call of Duty franchise makes a return. This isn't the sort of game where I want to spend a long time waiting between gunfights or set pieces, but occasionally you're forced to. In Rise and Fall, huge sections of the mission have restricted the player movement speed. The mission lasts around 40 minutes, and over half of it is spent walking slowly behind NPCs as they talk. As for good points for this game, they're few and far between. I like the safe house, where you can choose your gear and upgrade your cybercore abilities in between missions. It also contains all the things you've collected over the course of the game. A few times in the story the design of the hub changes, but it always does the same thing. This is also where you can replay old missions and take part in training mode called Combat Immersion. I'd advise you do neither of these things. The only other thing I liked in the game was the story, but it was almost the same as that of Halo 5. You play as a member of a team which is chasing down a rogue team and ultimately fight an AI trying to achieve peace throughout the world. The overarching plot of these two games is almost exactly the same. Black Ops 3 though is much more interesting in its nuances. During the mission Demon Within, you play through a character's memories and dreams, which causes you to go insane. From this point on in the game, insanity effects take place, such as crows appearing everywhere. I just wish it wasn't so poorly executed. While the story was my favourite part of the game, it was also impossible to take seriously thanks to the terrible characterisation of the entire cast. As I previously mentioned, the story deals with the sort of insanity plaguing members of each team. The problem is though, no one acts any different before or after the insanity supposedly takes effect. Everyone is always violent and paranoid. Hendrix is a member of your team, who suggests another member of your team, Kane, is lying to you for absolutely no reason. This is a constant thread throughout the game, which leads nowhere. He never trusts her, and I really don't understand why. The only character who seems even vaguely human is Kane, except later in the story she inexplicably falls in love with the main character. Every character is just so poorly written that I found it impossible to care even slightly about any of them. This game has made me look back more fondly on Halo 5, because at least that game was over quickly. Black Ops 3 took everything I hated about that game and made it worse and made it last longer. This game has retroactively ruined every game in the Call of Duty franchise for me. This game is so bad that I found it incredibly hard to write a review that actually made any sense. The terrible pacing and inconsistent story seem to infect my own writing style. At least now it's over, I can get to playing something that's actually good. I hate Black Ops 3 with every fibre of my being. Playing this game was like rubbing my face in glass. The only people who should buy this game are the ones interested in the multiplayer experience. If you're going to play this game with other people in any capacity, maybe it'd be worth it. If not, don't buy it. Just don't. Don't subject yourself to this experience. Thanks for watching.
I just noticed you got a lot of blood on you.